Hello and welcome to South Bay Sports Radio. Here's your host, Nick Ingram.
Welcome back. We have reached the playoffs. It is win or go home. For some of these teams, they get another week of practice. For others, it is the end of the run. Damien, before I begin my spiel, good morning to you. Happy Thursday, November the 6th.
Is it the 6th? Yeah, it's November 6th. October flew by. November's moving fast already. Yeah, like you said, it's playoff time. This best time of the year.
Best time of the year. Basketball is going to start. We've got soccer that's going to start. We've got fall sports wrapping up. We've got a double local matchup. It's a rematch pitting Torrance against Redondo and a lot of other local teams hitting the road, plus a few updates from around the area on water polo and flag football. But we're going to begin with the Dodgers because this is Los Angeles and everybody loves the Dodgers. All right, Damien, how you feeling?
I feel great. And like I said, if you don't love the Dodgers, we'll still love you. If you don't love them, we'll still love you anyway. Yeah, that was a nerve-wracking. Well, the good thing is I didn't get a chance to watch Game 6. I was at a football game. But the ending sort of correlated with halftime. So I got into a corner at Mira Costa. I mean, the internet reception there isn't the greatest on the football field, but I was able to get to a little spot and watch the end of that game. And then Game 7 was just nerve-wracking. I sort of pride myself on not being like a crazy, get crazy for a game or anything, or really nervous. But man, that game was crazy. I was up walking through the house all day, all night. And then with the extra innings, I was a mess by extra innings. But they found a way to pull it out, and then back-to-back champs.
I was interviewing Nicole Cordova from Chadwick, so I listened to the game because, of course, I just want to know. I want to know who wins because being the baseball fan that I am, I have to know because it's like water cooler talk. Everybody asks me what I think and I'll give them my thoughts, but I'm interviewing her and she goes, "Hey, what's the score of the game?" I said, "It's 4-3." And I looked at it and it was 4-4. And they had a TV right when you walk in the gym. I don't know if you've ever been to Chadwick, but their gym's really nice. And you walk in and they've got the stands on the left. They've got this monstrosity of a TV setup where they've got the World Series on. And then as I'm done with my interviews, I'm leaving. And I think it was the end of the 9th after Yamamoto got out of it. And everybody's just huddled at the TV. So I drive down the hill. I'm listening to the game. I'm trying to write my article. Luckily, I had enough time to file before deadline. And the minute that the game ended, I turned the radio off and I could just hear fireworks everywhere. And it was the first time that I've been out of the house when the Dodgers won a game because, of course, or not won a game, but the World Series. But last year, I couldn't tell you where I was. 2000, I don't think it was as big of a deal, in all honesty. And then 88, I was a baby. So I'm sure my mom was going absolutely bonkers. But it's, great for the city. I called in ESPN radio and I was telling them how I thought that the Dodgers were fortunate to get past Philly, fortunate that they didn't make it as many mistakes against Milwaukee, and then, to force the Game 7. One of my followers on Instagram actually told me that no World Series has ever been clinched on Halloween. So when he sent me that, I said, well, there you go. There's your chance, Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about using I probably watch every Dodger game or pieces of every game this season. And you talk about using a full roster, using the full season, length of a season, a Game 7, going to the limit. Dave Roberts there should never be any complaints about Dave Roberts ever again. At least after winning last year and this year, there should be never be any complaints about him again. Just the way he, the moves he made, bringing in Pajes for that defensive replacement, he tracks down the ball at the wall, which is I mean, I know Kike said recently that he thought he would have caught it, but I don't know if he would have caught that or not, man. That ball was over his head. He was running into the wall, and then here comes Andy Paez with a game-saving catch over his shoulder there, which is unbelievable. The only concern next year is, I mean, they really make this run leaning on their starting pitching. And now they got to fix the bullpen next year. That's the only concern I have for really next year. The bullpen has to be fixed.
Ernie Clement absolutely smoked that ball, and
yeah, I mean,
it was destined. That had ball game written all over it. And for a guy that was DFA'd by 2 teams, that was picked up for his glove to get that ball the way that he got it, you know, Paez being the Latin American player that he is, I think that a lot of that goes overlooked. You've got a lot of Latin American players on that team, and these guys know the game, especially Paez, even though he can't hit as well. He knows how to play.
Yeah, that's the thing too. I mean, he had a good regular season, but he had hit the bottom in the playoffs. I mean, he was like 0 for every series almost, but to still stay in the game mentally, that just shows you what kind of, you know, toughness these guys have mentally and physically out there. I mean, we can talk about this all day, man. Miguel Rojas hitting a home run. I haven't seen him hit a home run in years. And then Yamamoto is, man, if anybody deserves a vacation, it's him and Ohtani. They just give those guys the rest of the year off. But you know, they're crazy. They're gonna be ready for you know, World Baseball Classic in a couple months anyway. So they're different.
One of the things I heard, I listened to the Travis and DeMarco show on ESPN a lot, and they were saying Oral Hershiser called in on Monday, and he said, I wonder how many people are going to be doing yoga in spring training and throwing with javelins as well.
Yeah.
So, coming from the Bulldog, that's pretty good. All right, moving on. By the way, congratulations, Dodger fans. We've got a big football weekend aside from high school football. USC visits Northwestern Friday night. UCLA hosts Nebraska. The Rams visit San Francisco in a big NFC West matchup, and the Chargers host the Steelers for a battle with Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers on Sunday night at SoFi. Are we ready to fire up the DeLorean? November 3rd, 2016, the Cubs won their first World Series since 1908 in a 7-game thriller where they beat the Indians. 1973, Jay Miller set an NCAA single-game record with 22 catches for 263 yards as BYU beat New Mexico 56-21. Some scoring notes. Los Angeles Lakers forward Elgin Baylor set an NBA record at the time by scoring 71. That was 1960. In 62, Wilt Chamberlain scored 72 against the Lakers. Kobe Bryant made his NBA debut November 3rd, 1996. At the time, he was the youngest ever to do it, 18 years, 2 months, 11 days. November 5th, 1994, George Foreman became the oldest heavyweight champion at 45. And 2013, Nick Foles threw 7 touchdowns in an NFL game. November 5th, 1955. Some of us movie fans know it as the day Doc Brown invented the flux capacitor, which allowed time travel to be possible. This one is for those others. The Interstate Commerce Commission ruled that segregation on interstate trains and buses was illegal. November 6th, 1995, Art Modell, owner of the Cleveland Browns, announced he was moving the team to Baltimore. Art Modell will forever be hated in the eyes of Cleveland. November 7th, 1963, Elston Howard was the first African-American named MVP. Movie releases, 1983, A Christmas Story, 1990, Dances with Wolves. All right, my question for you, sir. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
Man. Well, the Christmas Story is always on every Christmas time, so I watch that every time like I've never seen it before, even though it's probably older. It's almost 40 years old. The original Home Alone, that'd be a good one as well. I think it was on the other day. I said and watched it the other day. Like I never saw it before. So I'll go with those two.
There we go. Those are good choices. I couldn't tell you mine. I kind of flipped through thinking that I'm going to watch a Christmas movie and then the kids want to watch something. So it's usually something Disney, Mickey Mouse, bring me back to my childhood where I can remember enjoying those. But all right, we are moving on. In the words of Mr. Jim Mora,
playoffs? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
That's right. We are talking about playoffs. This is the time of the year where win or go home. Here we go. Damien's top 15. Number 1, Lusinger and Bay League champion takes a drive to Irvine and undefeated Korean Lutheran in the opening round of Division 2. The Olympians come into this game at 9-1 after that last victory over Lawndale as well. Journey Tunga leads the Olympians 1,319 yards, 854 coming on the ground. He's played quarterback, tailback, caught passes out of the backfield. Kelton Strickland has 974 yards on the ground and 7 touchdowns. Mason Miller has caught 790 yards and 7 touchdowns. Defensively, Jamal Fay leads the unit with 60 tackles and 3 interceptions. Samu Moala has 8.5 sacks in 6 games. Sharky Vanisi leads the unit with 9.5 sacks, and Pole Moala has 3 interceptions. This defense is getting a huge test. Korean Lutheran quarterback Caden Jones has thrown for 2,787 yards and 29 touchdowns with no interceptions. Tailback Caleb Bay has ran for 661 yards and 10 touchdowns, and leading receiver Bryce Coleman has 852 yards and 9 touchdowns. I asked Coach Miller about the key to slowing down Korean Lutheran. He said they have a bevy of weapons, a dual threat quarterback, big, fast, and explosive weapons, and a reliable run game. Playing sound defense will be a key, and we can't freestyle. We must understand that they will make plays, and we need to limit them and compete one play at a time. The focus, of course, in my eyes, will be that losing our offensive line, protecting the backfield. Russell Sakona is not yet cleared, but how can Lusinger stop a team that's put up 50 in 3 of its last 4?
Yeah, the good thing about the playoffs, when you first thing you always do, you always look at how the teams match up. I mean, how did this team beat their opponents? But then you think, you look at their opponents. I mean, did they really face anybody as talented and as deep as the Lusinger defense and on offense? Olympians have faced a lot of tough teams. I mean, they beat Inglewood in their passing game. They slowed down and beat Palos Verdes, Ryan Rakowski. It's all about stand discipline. You look at those numbers from Korean Lutheran, you're like, oh wow. I mean, those are some big numbers. 29 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's impressive on no matter the level. But you look at Lusinger, Samu Moala, Jamal Fay, and those guys, and then Moala in the backfield, Patrick Polo in secondary. They're gonna be. I think they're gonna be up for a challenge. They've been making a long drive in Orange County. But the big question will be, how can Lusinger generate points on the offense? If Secona's not going to be able to go, I mean, you have to report there from Miller. He told me Sunday he was unclear as of Sunday. Now we're Thursday, but Russell did tell David Rice, who covered our last game, that he was going to play. So who knows what's going to happen here? So who knows, right? But yeah, I mean, Lusinger, I think they're gonna find a way to put points on the board. I mean, Journey has done everything he can on the offensive, on the offense. Playing quarterback, running the ball. They got to get the ball out to Mason Miller. He can make some plays as well. And then the special teams, can they generate points in good field position on all the punt returns, the kick returns, on everything comes into play now that you're in the playoffs.
There we go. All right. South Bay Game of the Week. Pioneer League champion and undefeated Torrance hosts Redondo Union, who finished second in the Pioneer League. Torrance sits atop the Division 5 bracket. This is the second meeting of these two teams this season. The first almost a month ago. Torrance beat Redondo 34-24 before the Seahawks went on a 4-game winning streak to close out the season. Before we dig into this one, I've got both Coach Carter and Coach Ellison. So we'll go Coach Carter first, some stats from Torrance, and then Coach Ellison. You have Redondo, first round. You played them first week of league, and they weren't necessarily healthy by any stretch.
Yeah.
What you've seen from Redondo over the last couple weeks, what are you expecting come Friday night?
They've been dominating. You look at the scores, they're scoring 5 to 6 touchdowns per game. I think like they found their groove, and they doing everything that we expected them to do even prior to us. So, Coach Ellison is a good coach. He has a good staff over there. He's going to have his boys ready. So coming into this game, they're going to come in with heavy hearts. They're going to come in with an edge. Plus, it's playoffs, so losers go home. So everybody got to be at their best this Friday. We see who comes out.
All right, that was Coach Raymond Carter. Some Torrance stats. Gibson Turner has completed 67% of his passes, totaling 2,086 yards, 25 touchdowns, and he's thrown just 4 interceptions. Kason Presley has 521 yards on the ground, 325 through the air. 8 of his 11 touchdowns are on the ground. Isaac Mora, 496 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns. The X factor for Torrance, for me, Von Reinhardt and Elias Emerson. Get this, they're both juniors. Reinhardt has rushed for 1,149 yards and 14 touchdowns, picked up almost 200 receiving yards and 4 scores. Defensively, he has 60 tackles, 3 interceptions. Emerson has 719 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns, and has a team high 77 tackles and 8 sacks on defense. Royce Gibbs has 65 tackles, and Nick Mills has added 6 sacks. And then we've got Mr. Ellison. The game against Torrance, you guys were in that game through the half, and then mistakes started to catch up with you. What do you think is going to be the biggest key come Friday night at Torrance, knowing the energy in that type of situation?
Torrance took the game from us in that first game. We were up by a touchdown at the end of that third quarter, and they, for that last quarter, they took it from us and beat us. And so for us, we got to take care of the ball. We got to play all 4 quarters. And we got to finish the game. And that's what we need to do this week. So if we can protect the ball, we can finish, we'll have the opportunity to get a win this week.
I was having a little bit of problems loading those episodes onto Spotify, so give me a little bit of time, listeners, and I will have those up. Redondo stats. In 7 games, Cole Leinart has completed 60% of his passes for 1,247 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, 2 of those coming against Torrance. Christian Zeno has 315 rushing yards, 6 scores. Adrian Ortiz has 391 receiving yards and 1 touchdown in 5 games. Tyler Harper has 351 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. But Redondo's X factor, Bo Osmus. In 4 games and parts of one other, he has 287 rushing yards, 108 receiving yards, and 9 touchdowns. Defensively, Brock Herrera has 48 tackles and a team-high 4.5 sacks. Lincoln Esparza has 47 tackles, and Sal De La Torre has 3 interceptions, including 1 off of Gibson Turner. All right, this one's going to be a dogfight. Damian, what's going to be the key in this one?
Well, first of all, can Torrance stop Bo Osmus? He's come back and just totally left his imprint on this late season run that Redondo has made. Yeah, it's like what Ellison said. What he told you and what he told me Sunday. It's like Torrance took the game from them late in that second half. But Redondo's a different team now. But Torrance has been steady all the way around. And watching them last week, they struggled a little bit in the passing game. But Von Reinhardt he dominated against North. So they come out able to have a good plan on passing and the attack and the ground attack. I think they're a little bit better offensively than Redondo, but then you look at Redondo with Osmus, they're running him out of the backfield, they're running him at some wildcat and getting him the ball. So that is their guy. So which defense can slow down the other team's playmaker? Can Redondo slow Reiner? I know they held him to 101 yards the last time. And then Osmus, that was his first game back, but he was under some. He played a limited time that first game. So yeah, it's a good matchup. We're either looking at defenses taking away those two, or those two are going to light the scoreboard up and make it for 45 to 49, which would be fun. But I'm looking forward to this one here.
Yeah, Osmus had one carry for 32 yards against Torrance, and when the Torrance defender went up for a tackle, he kind of leveled him. So that was just one of those. He's ready to go. I know this game means a lot to him. I know this game means a lot to Redondo. It means a lot to Torrance as well, because they want to show that the regular season isn't just where they made their mark. They want to make a run at another title. And I asked Coach Carter about when he knew that Von Reinhardt was a dude, and he said in the semifinal game 2 years ago, he had a game-sealing interception as a freshman. They needed to start him in that game due to injury, and from there, he's just taken off. So, we've got another year of him. Ellison called him the best player in the Pioneer League, so that's definitely a big nod from an opposing coach to get that, especially somebody like Keith Ellison.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3, Sarah fell to Bishop Amat in week 10, missing the playoffs for the first time since 2004. Number 4, the Bay League second place team, Palos Verdes, visits foothill champion Valencia in a Division III first round battle. Some PV stats for you. Quarterback Ryan Rakowski is thrown for 1,638 yards and ran for 528 more. He's totaled 26 touchdowns and just 1 interception. Dominic Hernando has ran for 669 yards and 3 touchdowns. The wide receiver group is talented. Morley Boyd has 749 yards and 7 touchdowns. Jalen Flowers has 347 yards and 5 touchdowns. Cameron Hughes has 4 receiving touchdowns. Defensively, sophomore Weston Reese leads the unit with 74 tackles and 3 sacks. Max Bates has 58 tackles. Ben McGovern has 3.5 sacks. Flowers has 4 interceptions. Nick Jakovic has 3, including 2 against Inglewood's Lincoln John. Valencia comes in at 9-1, going undefeated in the Foothill League against teams like Saugus, Hart, and Castaic. The Vikings are led by quarterback Brady Bretthauer. He's thrown for 1,511 yards and added 486 on the ground, and tallied 29 touchdowns, 20 of them passing. He's thrown 2 interceptions. Tailback Brian Bonner has 962 yards and 13 touchdowns on the ground. He's averaging 106.9 yards a game. And Elias Holloway leads the receiving corps with 537 yards and 7 touchdowns. 2 questions I have. Will PV's defense make this a game? And can PV's offensive line provide enough protection for Ryan Rakowski?
Man, that's a big question. Rakowski was under a lot of pressure last week against Mira Costa. I didn't see the final set. I think they probably got to him maybe 5 times, maybe. But that game was, that's a rivalry game, and it was hard fought and intense all the way through. But give them credit, they found a way. Rakowski found a way. 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, some big, tough runs where he's dragging a pile, moving guys down the field. I mean, he's a tough kid. And defensively, I mean, at one point it looked like there were like 2 Weston Reeses on the field, because he was like, he's in line, sideline to sideline. He's in the middle. He's flying around. He sort of sets the tone for that defense. Again, that's another team that has faced a lot of tough offenses through their non-league and their league schedule. I mean, Valencia's on a roll. They won like 7 in a row. I think they're averaging maybe 45 points a game during that winning streak. But PV's gonna find a way to stay. If they can find a way to stay close in the fourth quarter, Rakowski's going to find a way to pull that game out. I mean, sort of like what they did last week. Like Gardner said, we found a way. We found a way to find a way to win that game. I mean, it wasn't pretty, but they hung around and then went on a long drive where Carson just kept making plays, keep the ball moving down the field, and they pulled out the win. So yeah, if it's close, you got to think Rakowski's they have that confidence in him that he's gonna find a way to pull that game out.
Typical PV smash mouth football. All right. Inglewood clinched a 3rd place spot in the Bay League, plays Capistrano Valley in a Division III showdown. This game will be at Saddleback College. Sentinels are led by sophomore quarterback Lincoln John, 2,626 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Tailback Samaji Welch has ran for 1,139 yards and 8 scores in 9 games. Alan Wilson has hauled in 8 touchdowns and totaled 688 receiving yards. Defensively, it's Terrell Howard with 91 tackles and 8 sacks, Miles Smith with 86 tackles and 10 sacks, and Noah Clark with 82 tackles and 3 interceptions. Capistrano Valley features dual threat quarterback Taylon Spencer, 1,360 passing yards, leads the Cougars with 611 yards on the ground, and has totaled 30 touchdowns, 9 of those rushing, while throwing 7 interceptions. Brody Saavedra has 361 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns, and Colin Hooper has 356 receiving yards and 7 scores. We're not saying anything different. Inglewood's had the toughest season it's had since Milvon James took over this program. Are the Sentinels able to regroup, or is this the end to an uncharacteristic season under Coach James?
This is a good matchup because, I mean, when I used to work out in Orange County, and then when I was there, Capistrano Valley wasn't a Division III playoff team. So, I mean, when did this happen? I'm still shocked at that, but credit to them. But like I was talking to one of the coaches, I forgot what school it was, and say Inglewood might be down. I mean, they're 5-5, needed to win last week to get to, Division III, to get into the playoffs, but they still have guys on that roster, which Miles Smith, Stanford commit, Andre Nickerson, the SMU. I mean, they still have guys on that roster that will cause you some problems. And I mean, going on the road, it's a long trip, going down from Inglewood to Saddleback College, so they can avoid the mistakes. I mean, I think they got a chance to pull out that game. It's gonna be tough because when you're making that long trip, you do have some kids who haven't been on the last couple playoff teams with Inglewood, some new guys in some new places. But if they can avoid the mistakes, avoid the penalties, they can probably put up some points that will help them in this game here.
There we go. All right, and last for the Bay League and Division III, Mira Costa earned an at-large bid in Division III and visits Chino Hills. Mustangs enter the playoffs at 7-3 overall after getting a forfeit victory, having lost 3 straight, including last week's heartbreaker to Palos Verdes. Chino Hills comes into this game at 8-2. Some Mira Costa stats: Liam Meeker has thrown for 1,572 yards and rushed for 460 more, totaling 21 touchdowns, 14 throwing, and he's also thrown 5 interceptions. AJ McBean has 606 yards on the ground and 8 touchdowns in 8 games. Luke Meeker leads all receivers with 665 yards and 7 touchdowns. Defensively, Joaquin Wagner-Baguis leads the unit with 115 tackles and 6 sacks. Luke Meeker has 66 tackles and 10 sacks. Jackson Reach has 92 tackles, 4 sacks. Magnus Johnson, 57 tackles, 7 sacks. And in 6 games, Kingston Davies has 3 interceptions. Chino Hills Huskies are led by Alex Medine, 694 passing yards and 330 on the ground, totaling 19 touchdowns. 10 of those rushing, but he's thrown 9 interceptions. Jacob Jimenez leads the Huskies ground attack with 867 yards and 10 touchdowns, and Caleb Farrell leads the receiving corps with 572 yards and 2 touchdowns. The X factors to me in this game: can Liam Meeker connect with someone other than his brother for a big night? Can Mira Costa's defense contain Chino Hills' ground game and force them to pass?
Well, one thing that helps Mira Costa, they did get AJ McBean and Kingston Davies back last week against Palos Verdes. Davies had been out for a couple of weeks. McBean was out since early in the Inglewood game, so getting them back and getting them going full speed for this week will be key. If Chino Hills lines up and run at them, that could be a problem. But if having said that, watching that defense last week fly around against Rakowski, I was impressed. Even in a losing effort, they put up a great effort against the Palos Verdes offense. One other name to watch is defensive lineman Hunter Taylor, who had like 2 sacks, maybe 10 tackles in that game. I think he's a junior. So this is what Costa's played the tough schedule for. I mean, they play a tough non-league schedule, and they go through the Bay League, and then their first game is on the road. So, I mean, it's going to be a test. Well, let's see which Bay League team can come home with a win. I mean, all 4 are on the road against some tough opponents, but let's see who can come home and stay alive for round 2 next week.
There we go. Definitely looking forward to that. I did see Costa's defense flying around against Lusinger, they were able to limit what Lusinger could do in that first half. And they got some good plays, not only defensively, but on special teams as well. So they've got a chance to make this a game and come home with that victory. Moving along. Number 8, North Torrance earned an at-large bid out of the Pioneer League and takes a trip to Apple Valley in Division 7. North enters the playoffs at 6-4 overall. Ethan Edwards leads the Saxons offense, 1,357 passing yards, 517 rushing, and 20 total touchdowns. He's thrown 6 interceptions, but he also has 5 interceptions on the defensive end. Jaden Andrade has 467 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns. King Shelton leads the Saxons receivers with 528 yards and 5 touchdowns. Colin Mataele Juarez has 322 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns. Defensively, Cole Moran has 130 tackles. Anthony Macias has 61 and 5 sacks. 130 tackles, that's close to tops in the area. Apple Valley comes in at 6-4 overall after taking second in the Mojave River League. Sun Devils are led by quarterback Brent Lanning, 1,178 passing yards with 13 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Noah Hardiman has 499 yards out of the backfield and 2 scores. Apple Valley, as a team, has ran for 1,140 yards, and Jaden Foster leads their receivers with 505 yards and 7 touchdowns. I asked Todd Kochi the other day, is it me or does North always have to travel really far for first-round games? And he said, we must be lucky. Exotic travel destinations, for sure. He followed with saying the Saxons have to play with emotion and avoid the mental errors, being ready to take on the challenge against the bigger opponent, something they've seen on a regular basis. After last week's loss to Torrance, what's going to be the key for North to make some noise in Division 7?
Yeah, Todd, he nailed it there, avoiding the mistakes. They made a couple last week against Torrance. It ended up being a 1-score game, and they made a couple mistakes there that could have, gave them the ball back, set them up for a better chance there, but they came up short. They did get King Shelton back last week, which will help. He dealt with a knee injury, so hopefully he's able to go full bore in practice this week and see if he's ready to go. But yeah, the biggest challenge is making the drive. That's always the first challenge for the playoffs, right? How far are you going? How far do you have to travel? And they're going to Apple Valley, so we'll see if they can overcome that and then sort of regroup for the game, which is that's the second battle, right? The travel and then the game. But yeah, they got to avoid the mistakes and see if they have a chance there late in the game.
It's a long drive, especially on a Friday, especially coming from Torrance. All right, number 9. Marine League champion Carson earned the top seed in the LA City Section Open Division and gets a week off. Open Division doesn't start until next week. The Colts defeated San Pedro behind Chris Fields' huge night, host King Drew in the Open Division quarterfinals, November 14th. Fields ran for 204 yards, threw for 223, and had a hand in 5 of the Colts' touchdowns as Carson beat San Pedro 41-21, solidifying home field throughout the city section first round of their playoffs. Number 10 Marine League runner-up San Pedro earned the number 3 seed in the Open Division and gets a week off before hosting Crenshaw. We'll hit you with those games next week. Number 11, making the jump from Division 12 to Division 8, Camino Real League champion Mary Star opens with a visit to Brea Olinda. A win would pit the Stars against a Camino Real League foe, either St. Monica or St. Genevieve. Before we get into the stats, let's hear from Coach Tyler Sestich.
All right, what's up, Nick? Yeah, man, just thinking of Brea Olinda moving up from D12 to the D8 playoffs is kind of like a pretty big jump for us. I think they moved down from the D5 playoffs last year. They lost to PV, I think, in the first round. So, cool challenge for us. I'm definitely proud of our kids and coaches that we moved up from D12 to D8. It's really a testament to how hard they're working, and it kind of shows it like that too. So hopefully, as the years go by, we can keep climbing and climbing. But I'm just proud of them for right now. Brea is a good team, just from what we've seen on film. I knew who they were, but they're well disciplined. They play hard for sure, so I think we have our hands full a little bit. But I'm pretty confident in our kids and our game plan and what we're gonna do. And it's kind of a cool matchup, like going on the road a little bit, going down to Orange County, playing a different brand of football. But I'm excited. If we do what we do, we should be in pretty good shape, and pretty excited to get it done. So go Stars.
That was Mary Star coach Tyler Sestich. So last week, Mary Star put up 61 in its Week 10 victory over St. Bernard, and its defense saw a tough test against the Vikings' strong-armed quarterback, Gary Ferguson. Regular season stats: Tanner Rollins threw for 1,765 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Johnny Rivera, a sophomore, eclipsed the 1,000-yard mark. He went for 1,055 yards and 16 touchdowns, while Giuseppe Verzi, the transfer out of Palos Verdes, tallied 396 yards and 4 touchdowns in 4 games. Carson transfer Amari Powell led all Stars receivers with 431 yards and 4 touchdowns, and Dallas Christopher had 305 receiving yards and 4 scores. Defensively, Aiden Sierra led the unit with 76 tackles and 4 sacks. Rivera had 50 tackles and 4 sacks. And Manchild, Lotu Taufa, racked up 3 sacks in 4 games. Breo Linda comes in at 7-3 overall, and the Wildcats are led by quarterback Gavin Nicholson. He's thrown for 1,093 yards and ran for 566 more, totaling 17 touchdowns, including 11 passing. He's thrown 3 interceptions. Kolo Tolu Liti has 674 yards out of the backfield, and Ryan Nero leads all receivers with 719 yards and 8 touchdowns. This is a big matchup for Mary Star, knowing that they were last in Division 12, now Division 8. Breo Linda drops from 5 to 8. What do you see as being the key in this matchup, knowing that one team's now moved up and one team has moved down?
Yeah, that's a tough battle, tough matchup for Mary Star. Like you say, Brea Linda was up in 5 last year, and they came down, and then their 3 losses have, I think, only been 2 by 7 points, 1 in overtime, and then 1 by 1 point, I believe. So they always do a good job there. I think they've changed coaches since I last worked in Orange County, but I mean, the tenets of the program is still hard-nosed football. For Mary Star, I mean, hey, yeah, take it as a plus that you moved up. You make the jump from 12 to 8. Now it's about, can you go out there and impact the game with your style, and pull out the big road winner. It's gonna be tough, but they got some big boys on Mary Star. I think the run game's been clicking as well, and then Tanner Rollins is still back there at quarterback, so they got some good pieces going in there. But let's see if they can make that trip to Brea and pull out the win. It's gonna be interesting to see that matchup there.
Agreed. All right. Number 12, West Torrance, Ocean League champion, hits the road for a visit with Liberty High in Division 10. Warriors coming into the playoffs on a 4-game winning streak, led by quarterback Dominic Golia, who's thrown for 1,498 yards and 23 touchdowns while being intercepted 6 times. Jack McInnes, Daily Breeze Player of the Week, has tallied 948 yards and 7 touchdowns out of the backfield, and Blake Ely leads all receivers with 412 yards and 9 touchdowns. Ely leads the defense with 62 tackles. Isaiah Nerez has 52, but that 1 interception, the Ocean League title sealing pick against El Segundo. Dylan Goby had the other interception in that game, his 4th on the year. Taking a look at Liberty's stats, they feature a pair of tailbacks that could make this a very long night for the Warrior defense. Paris Peacock has racked up 954 yards and 13 touchdowns. Trent Harris has tallied 901 yards and 8 scores. Their quarterback, Devin Dilliard, has thrown for 786 yards, 9 touchdowns, while throwing 5 interceptions. Coach Butler tells me our program, philosophies, and next play mentality has us fully prepared for this opportunity. We did a great job turning the page after last week, and we have a strong process we believe in how we prepare each week. That makes the long trip to Liberty of little consequence to us. That's the message we've delivered all season and this week again. We only give attention to those things within our control and try to hyper-focus on those while blocking out the external factors such as game location. West defense faces that tall task, slowing that double-headed machine. Who needs to have a big game for West to prevail?
Well, because starting on the defensive side of the ball, right? I don't know much about Liberty, but just reading the stats there from what you said there, yeah, the defense got to come up with a good game plan. And then on offense, I mean, we see McInnes and Golia sort of develop over the season. They had a tough non-league schedule. They lost to the other Torrance schools, but they sort of found their way. I think they had a big win against Cypress, I believe, right before non-league. They sort of carried that into league and pulled out, beating El Segundo last week for the league title. So let's see if they can keep that momentum going. That's going to help them. I mean, like I say, another one of these long road trip battles there. Can they overcome that and then prepare for the game itself? As soon as that momentum can carry on this week, go on the road against Liberty.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see. I know Dominic Golia had some big plays, but Blake Ely was able to slip out into coverage and find himself wide open. So for him to make those reads in that game was huge. I think Muhammad Iftawi is going to need to have a big game. And of course, Ely and Gobi on the outside are going to need to come up with Troy Polamalu like stops on the defensive end.
Yeah, didn't West make a long run last year? I believe was it West or El Segundo made the semifinal run?
West made the semis last year.
Yeah. So hey, I mean, some of those kids were there last year, and they can sort of lean on that experience for this season as well.
There we go. All right, number 13, El Segundo took second place in the Ocean League and hits the road, visiting Calabasas in a Division 7 matchup. Calabasas finished the season in fourth place in the Conejo Coast League. Eagle coach Rory Schoonmaker told me post-game that the game against West was the test he was concerned with, and West definitely gave El Segundo a test, picking off quarterback Ryan Wysek twice on the night, including on the game's final drive. So he finished the season with 25 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He's also thrown for 1,674 yards and ran for 853 and 8 touchdowns. Lincoln Quaintance showed his speed last week against West with touchdown runs of 50 and 49 on inside give plays. He finished the regular season with 505 yards and 9 touchdowns. Spencer Osborne leads all Eagle receivers with 8 touchdowns to go along with 294 yards. Axel Thies has a team high 429 yards and 3 touchdowns. Some Calabasas stats. Quarterback Dominic Hardy has thrown for 1,951 yards and 19 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Tailback Kane Miller is a beast out of the backfield, 1,069 yards and 13 touchdowns, and Desmond Hardy and Kingston Salifi are 2 receivers that will give the Eagles defense fits. They've combined for nearly 1,500 yards and 17 touchdowns. Calabasas is in a tough league with Newbury Park, Thousand Oaks, and Westlake. How tough of a first-round draw is this for El Segundo?
Yeah, it's tough. Like I say, 4th place team, but coming out of a tough league is Calabasas. And then for El Segundo, you got to overcome that pain of losing last week. They were flying along there to get to the league title. They lose the league title. Like you said, Wycheck hadn't thrown an interception all year. Then he throws 2. So how can they, like all the coaches say, 24-hour rule. I mean, did they not by Sunday? Will they focus on? Were they still? Were the players able to turn the page for this week here, or in the back of their mind, are they still like, man, we got the league title there, we lost it there. Can they overcome that? But yeah, this is a tough trip. One of the toughest matchups here. I mean, second place in the Ocean League, but you look at a tough Calabasas team coming out of a tough league. So El Segundo had the big challenge here.
Agreed. All right, number 14, Banning earned the 4th seed in Division 1 and hosts Van Nuys Friday. The Pilots snapped a 5-game losing streak against Narbonne last week. I reached out to Coach Nate Hollister, and he said the Pilots are in much better shape than they were earlier in the year. They returned both starting defensive ends. One has been out since Palos Verdes, but he's waiting for quarterback Noah Tuvalu to get cleared. The defense also returns its strong safety from a collarbone injury, and their free safety could return as well. This is a big game for Banning, who returns the starting offensive linemen that were suspended during the Gardena game if they win. So there's my big if. If Banning wins this game and returns the players it lost due to suspension, do we see the Pilots making a run at the Division I City Section title?
Man, it's almost following the script from a couple years ago. They sort of fell into Division I. I think they were the 1 seed that year, though, maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. But yeah, they always, I mean, after going against the Marine League, anything other than the Marine League has to be like a breath of fresh air, right? So let's see if they can get those guys back, get healthy, and then let's see if they can make that run. I mean, Gardina's in Division I as well. We'll talk about them later here. But yeah, I mean, what a Gardena Banning City final, or if they can meet somewhere, maybe it might meet earlier than that, semifinal probably, or in the finals, that'd be great as well. But yeah, the Marine League is always tough, and the teams, they're always prepared for after they go through the Marine League, they're always prepared for a Division I run here.
All right, number 15, Westchester visits Franklin in a matchup of the 8th versus 9th seed in the city. Westchester defeated University 20-11 in its regular season finale to clinch 3rd in the Western League. A win sets up a possible rematch with league rival and top-seeded Venice. All right, Damien, does Westchester have enough firepower to knock off Franklin and move into the second round?
That's the challenge. I mean, coming off the win against University last week, tough win to finish 3rd in the Western League. It's always tough. But I think they're going to have to mix up. I know Westchester's predominantly more of a ground-oriented team there. Trying to pull up their stats here. Here we go right here. Wyatt Orr almost at 1,000 yards rushing for Westchester, the 12 touchdowns. They don't attempt much. I mean, their stats only have 83 attempted passes on the season. So, can they lean on that ground game to pull them through and then to get another chance at Venice? They met early in the year, Western League there in Venice a couple weeks ago. Venice won 21-8. So, one thing about the city, Division I, 16-team bracket, a good chance you might run up against a team that you've already played before. So, I mean, that's 8-9 is always, you would think it's one of those close battles there. You look at Franklin went 7-3, finished 2nd in their league. So, yeah, it's a good close matchup here. Let's see if Westchester can pull out the win.
There we go. And on the outside looking in, Gardena plays tomorrow night as well. They host Hamilton. This is a matchup of 7th seed versus 10th seed. Gardena's had some tough losses. They lost to Pijo. They lost to Carson. They lost to Santa Monica. And they started off the season with a loss to Crespi. We know that anything's possible in Division I. What's going to be the key for Gardena to take care of business and continue to make noise in the city?
Yeah, they're facing a tough Hamilton team. Their first 3 games, they played Sarah in their season opener and also played Loyola in their game in their 3rd game of the year. Their one win was against Crenshaw, who ended up making the open division. So just because they're the 10 seed, I mean, this is no easy 10 seed for sure. Like I said, Gardena, I mean, they went through the Marine League. Of course, they took some lumps, but now can they put everything together and see how they can come out of here? They beat Banning, beat Narbonne, and their 2 losses were, of course, Carson and San Pedro. Pretty one-sided losses. But let's see. I mean, they were the open division the last couple of years under Coach Gilbreath, and now a new coach, Coach Williams, is there now. Let's see if they can make a run in Division I.
There we go. All right. One last look. Ooh. All right. Girls flag football. We are moving on. Open Division City Section, top-seeded San Pedro hosts Verdugo Hills tomorrow. 5th-seeded Banning visits Marshall, and 7th-seeded Narbonne visits Eagle Rock. In Division I, Carson got a big victory, 20-7 over Roosevelt, and they have Venice tomorrow. In boys water polo, Mira Costa played its 3rd game of pool play in the Open Division yesterday. I was unable to see if there was an update. The Mustangs now await their fate in the SoCal Regional after losing 2 out of those first 3 games. Division II, El Segundo advanced to the quarterfinal round after a 15-12 victory over Orange Lutheran. Visit Damien in a semifinal game tomorrow. Girls volleyball, Chadwick plays for the program's first CIF title since winning back-to-back titles in 2010, 2011. The Dolphins play Ontario Christian Saturday at Cerritos College, 3 p.m. And Division 6 Wiseburn Da Vinci travels to Arrowhead Christian Academy for Saturday's CIF title game. Some tennis for you. Bay League rivals PV and Mira Costa square off Friday afternoon in Division 1. Division 2, Redondo Union defeated Santa Margarita 10-6 in Wednesday's opening round. The Seahawks host San Juan Hills Friday. Division 2, Chadwick defeated Laguna Beach 14-4 Wednesday. The Dolphins will visit Aliso Niguel tomorrow. Division 2, Peninsula visited Bonita. As of this show, results were not posted. Division 4, Torrance defeated Pacifica Christian. The Tardars host Simi Valley Friday. And Division 5, Bishop Montgomery defeated Xavier Prep 13-5. The Knights travel to Paloma Valley Friday. Also Friday are the Bay League Cross Country Finals at Pollywog Park in Manhattan Beach.
Circling back to the water polo, Maricosa did win their last pool play game. Final score was 10-6.
That makes them 1-2.
Long Beach Wilson. And also Division 2 water polo, Redondo won last night, and they will be home, I think. I emailed the Redondo coach, and he hasn't replied yet.
Good luck. I can find some information if you'd like.
Yeah, it's probably mostly for next round. It's one of those things where some coaches are new and don't understand the whole system of, highlighting your athletes and everything. Some do, some don't. Some you got to work with. For some, it comes secondhand. They understand everything. So we'll see.
They understand the position we're in. That will do it for another episode of South Bay Sports Radio. Thank you for joining me, Damien. Make sure to follow along Breeze Preps on Twitter, South Bay Sports Media, South Bay Sports Radio on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And that will do it. Have a great day.